Four wonderful, powerful women are going to share how they actually utilize LinkedIn powerfully. So each of you, that's going to be Priya, Dee, um, Gina, and we had Sylvia. Don't see her on here, but anywho, they're going to actually share a 3-minute presentation. And then after that, Linda, I guess I should ask you on this point, do we want to save all the Q&A after all three presentations or after each? Okay, perfect. All right, so in that case, if Dee, you want to go ahead and get us started on your presentation.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Charity. I will share my screen, which will just be my LinkedIn profile. Give me 1 second. So this is my LinkedIn profile. I will kind of scroll down to a few areas while sharing kind of a couple of tips that I've learned along the way. I will be full candor. I was a lot more active on LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and I really wanted to go back, but I learned a lot of tips during that time. So number one, pay attention to your tagline, which is right below your name. You should think about updating that line periodically, depending on what you're looking for. It could be that you want to highlight different skills as you grow professionally through different phases of your career. It could be a new title that you want to highlight and claim that space in the industry or in the field, or it could be just something that maybe a philosophical belief that you have and you wanted people to know about you, like the values. I do not recommend. I've seen many people do that, and I do not recommend that. Is to put here looking for jobs or looking for internships. No one is going to give us a job or an internship because we're looking for it. They're going to look for the skills that they want. The second thing I wanted to highlight is I've had a lot of success as I was very actively building my connections on LinkedIn. Right now, I have about 3,300. Um, and one way that really helped me is to write and publish on LinkedIn. You can see here that I had my own training business a couple of years ago. That's why I was very active on LinkedIn. So I did a lot of writing. I did about 40 articles. So you can see that if you just scroll down, you can see a lot of topics that are related to international education, international students. I had pictures, and some of them are more specific. Just going to click on a couple of them to show you. International students, are you dreading class participation? I know that a lot of people, we dread writing, and I don't consider myself a good writer or a skilled writer. But when I started doing it, once you get on the rhythm, it's actually not that difficult. So I was able to do maybe like one article a month. If you're not doing your business, I would say like even just one article every other month could help you a lot. Especially, I remember one of you mentioned earlier that you're looking for a career transition. So if you're changing a profession or a focus of an industry that you're in, writing is a great way to claim like I am the expert. Because when people see that you have 20 or so or more articles published on LinkedIn, I think your credibility is immediately established. So that's my second tip. My third tip is about recommendations. Um, do not be shy about asking for recommendations. And I'll show you throughout the years, I probably have been using LinkedIn since 2008 or so. I've collected 18 recommendations. Um, Very rarely that, if I reach out to someone and say, hey, do you mind writing recommendations for me? Very rarely I have received a no. I actually can't remember. So you can see that all of those people who have provided me recommendations, there are people that I have different working relationship with. Some of them are a manager, some of them are people who reported to me, others are people who have attended my training, because I was like, you can see this is a student who attended my training. And some people are my professors from my graduate school. So that's my third tip. One more thing I would also recommend. I don't know if I can do that. Let me switch a screen to. I like to put my LinkedIn web link into incognito web with the Internet Explorer, because then you can see how other people are viewing your profile page. What you see as the owner of your LinkedIn profile is actually different from what other people see. So you can see how your profile is presented. For example, this is what you would see, right? Like, so articles by D, this is pretty upfront. You don't see it when you open your own LinkedIn profile. And that's why this is something that I would recommend and encourage people to try, especially if you're interested in writing. So that's what I have.
Awesome. Dee, thank you so much. So for everyone listening, please be sure to write down your questions. So we're going to have three more presenters, and then we'll have time for questions, Q&A after that. So Priya, if you don't mind getting started on your presentation, please. Oh, and you're on mute.
Yes, I will start. Hi, everyone. I'm Priya, and how I use LinkedIn is very different how Dee just shared. I'm fairly actually new to LinkedIn. I just started using LinkedIn about a year ago. So my account is fairly new. I've just made new connections, and let me see if I can share my profile as well. I hope you can all see it. So this
Yes.
is my profile. So far what I have done, I enjoy being part of different groups. It has really helped me connect with different people. So I'm part of, as you can see, there are different groups. I'm part of Lady Boss. I highly recommend if you're wanting to connect with other women. Project Potluck, it's a minority group. There are several other groups. I'm part of different groups. And so when they have an event, I get a notification, or, I get in my feed. So I go to this different events, and it has helped me connect with the people which I wouldn't connect otherwise. So that's the one way I use the LinkedIn a lot. The other thing I really use is to, comment on other people's. I'm not a very good, English is my fourth language. So I'm not very comfortable in posting anything yet. So I usually just go and comment. As you can see, I comment on other people's work or other people's posts. And usually if my comment they like, they reach out, and someone new would reach out and then connect with me. So that's the one thing I've been feeling in a powerful way to connect with others. And something else I really enjoy, I enjoy work Adam Grant, or I enjoy following him. And I like seeing his posts because it's very similar to what we do. So I like to follow different leaders like him. He's probably him, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Daniel Lubisky is another one. So when they post this stuff, I like to watch them, how they are posting things and how they are drawing attention, how they have followers. Yeah, and I'm fairly new, so I'm just here to actually learn today, more than to do anything else. I'll stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you. I think one of the best things about LinkedIn is you don't have to have a certain, level of experience or whatever. You can utilize it powerfully at the beginner level, at the intermediate level, at the advanced level. So thank you both for really sharing that. We can kind of see that contrast. So who is next? Miss Gina. If you don't mind sharing your presentation, please.
Excellent. You know what? Is it okay if I don't share and I just sent you guys the link so you could pull it up?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Because I have some notes on mine. Really, I love how Linda talked about imperfect action. And what I think about is the garden and how we're all blooming into these beautiful flowers. I'm going to just pick a rose, but I know we all have different flowers we might be blooming into. And so I just took the acronym ACTION and laid it out for some powerful steps that we might want to take. And action, really, I loved hearing about this, is that if someone were to ask me to draw a tree or a flower, I might forget about the root system. I usually focus on the actual thing above land, the thing that I can see. And what's really great is sometimes with LinkedIn, we might not be able to see all of the action and all of the, pieces of it that we're working on. So it's just a really great way to tell others who we are and to get validated for who we are and deepening our connections. So I think it's a great social media tool to really develop our root system. So that's really about the action and taking imperfect action. Cultivate, much like growing your garden. I think it's, we're growing our brand day in and day out, who we are. And an example is that I had a side hustle. I have taken some photography since I was divorced about 6 years ago. And recently, a gentleman who's the CEO of another company reached out and asked me if I wanted to be on his team. I wasn't looking for a new job. However, I'm always open to new opportunities to make sure I'm not missing out on anything. So I put a little stat here saying that 70% of the jobs are actually not published. And a lot of it's about who we know and who we're coming into contact with. So he sent me a private message on LinkedIn, and I took his picture 5 years ago, a headshot. And he said, "I've been watching you." I'm like, okay, I guess that's a good thing. And he sent me the job description and asked me if I wanted to be his chief human resource officer. So what a great opportunity. And you just never know what's going to happen when you plant those seeds. So I just want to encourage everyone to take that imperfect action and start cultivating your garden. Also, time is going to be the first obstacle. And if you can figure out how to overcome it, then you're well on your way to overcoming the next obstacle. So the good news is that you're all here today and you've overcome the obstacle on a Memorial Day weekend to be here and really giving to yourself first and foremost. So I think that is huge. And as I've participated in these meetings, I've also been able to learn how to really focus on providing time for myself. So the first session I did is I wrote an article. The second session is I actually asked for more recommendations. I think I have about 40 recommendations on my LinkedIn site. And I asked my team for recommendations. Even though I'm not looking to leave, I was like, you know what, I'm a good leader. And I want my team to acknowledge that and to talk about it. They're both really scary actions. And then so here's a picture of me and Oprah when I went to her Vision 2020 tour. And then I wrote an article on LinkedIn about that. The next one is innovate. So what I like about innovate is we can always say yes and really talk about the 10% that's right. I think as human beings, we're really negatively focused sometimes. So I put this lovely picture of the guy that spilled coffee on his shirt. So either he can have the perspective that he has a unique shirt that no one else quite has, or he can get upset that he spilled coffee on his shirt. So I think it's really about just practicing the yes and model. How are we going to continue to step in, lean into LinkedIn and all these other ways to be powerful? And LinkedIn is never complete, right? We're all at different places. The openness part of action is to really continue to be open to connections. I hope that we can all be connected here and support each other. I know that Linda's done a great job of helping really all of us women rise up. I only have about 2,500 connections. It's slow and steady, right? Like the turtle takes its time and that's a-okay. And sometimes rabbits really rush. So just choose to be in whatever place you want to be in. And then also never give up. So just keep doing what you're doing. And another example that I had is I made a post just about my team, and some woman from St. Louis liked my post, and she happened to be a regional manager, and we happened to need a regional manager in St. Louis. So because she liked my post about my team, I reached out to her and said, "Hey, are you looking for a new opportunity?" And she's like, "Well, maybe." So we just connected and messaged each other. She ended up interviewing for the team. We hired her, and she just celebrated her 1-year anniversary. So that really, ladies, is the power of connection and using LinkedIn powerfully. So I just really believe that like attracts like, and we're putting really wonderful things out into the universe. So keep on doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. Great. So I was just messaging. I definitely want to make sure we have time for questions. So questions, comments, any of the sort. So does anyone want to come off mute and ask any of the three presenters that we had any questions? Comments, concerns?
I have a question. Hello again, everyone. I am currently employed, but I'm looking to advance in my career. And I am wondering, I get messages from recruiters, but I have a hard time distinguishing real recruiters from spam. So are there any tips on like how I should do that besides Googling them? That's what I've been doing. And I mean, that's seemingly to be working, but I don't want to miss on opportunities just because I think it might be a little off. So if there's any suggestions on how to distinguish maybe a quality recruiter versus a spam situation.
If no one else wants to tackle this one, I would say use LinkedIn, right? That would be your first kind of a touch point. So look and see, go to their profile. Typically, if they work for an organization that, I shouldn't say reputable because that's not really the right word, but a well-known organization, there's going to be a photo or a logo next to the name of the organization that you can actually click on, and it'll take you to that company page. If it's a startup, or something new, obviously they don't have that. But the point is to definitely start with LinkedIn, scroll down, see their activity. What have they posted? Just like I think it was Priya who was mentioning recommendations, and sorry if I got the wrong, there's a lot of information. But yeah, look and see what other colleagues have said about them, but absolutely utilize LinkedIn. And then obviously if there's more digging that needs to, proceed with more digging, if you will, then yes, Google for sure.
Julie, I would also recommend that you ask other people about the recruiter, or if you look at their website or their webpage in LinkedIn, typically it'll tell you who else has used them or connected with them. So I think that the network is powerful, and I would lean into that to focus on the reputable people. You don't have to go wide with your resume. I think you just have to go deep with some of those connections.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful.
I just add to that. I've also done that. Just jump on a quick call. Sometimes within 10 minutes, you would get a really good kind of a sense whether this is something that you want to pursue more or you don't want to waste your time. And I've got on the call with people. I'll just say that thank you so much for reaching out, but I don't think this is the right opportunity for me, or what you're looking for is not the right. I don't have the right talent for, or I'm not interested in relocating or whatever. And close it.
Thank you for that, T. Looks like Marisa, I believe, put in a question. What are the most effective ways you used when asking for recommendations?
I can answer that one just quickly, which is when someone writes a great glowing email, I say, can you put this into a LinkedIn recommendation? Quick and simple, they've already written it.
I would add also be specific, because the relationship you have with that person. If you just say, hey, can you give me a recommendation? They could write anything about you, right? You could say, can you please write me a recommendation focusing on my training skills and how I interacted, or how I kept the audience engaged, and what you learned from my training. So not a long list, but 2 to 3 things that will help people. I've also kind of like gone back and forth, especially for the recommendation is coming from a student. Sometimes the language is not perfect. And I have also kind of gone back and forth, say, hey, would you mind make a couple of minor edits? Not get too hung up on details, but I've done that a few times.
Awesome. Last questions coming from Whitney. Are the articles written on your page things that you have had published, or articles you have written directly on LinkedIn? So anyone, please, Shelly, I see you moving your head. Did you want to come off mute and answer that?
No, I had the same question because I have articles on my LinkedIn page that I've published elsewhere, but I'm curious as to whether those show up. Whether they show up in the same place as your LinkedIn articles, whether they're up there near the top of the page, because I haven't looked, and I'm most definitely taking on board that suggestion of writing articles. Writing is one of my top skills, so I should be putting those things up there.
I'd like to answer with what I read recently about that from LinkedIn, about their decreasing focus on having people write their own articles, but saying that you should have, wherever you have your platform, a blog or another space, and then share the link as opposed to having articles on LinkedIn. I read it, so it must be true. I don't know. I'm just sharing what I read.
Yeah. Just to add, I think if you have an article which it's published elsewhere, you could also put it in the featured posts, I feel. Like if there's a particularly good article that you want to share, that's a good idea. But from what I know, I think the article, the web link doesn't get taken when you put it as an article. I think it just gets captured in the comments, if I'm not mistaken. I don't, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I know. At least when you want to highlight a particular program or send a link, it doesn't go in the article or post. I may be wrong. Someone told me put it in the comments section of your particular post.
Benita, do you mind elaborating on the featured post for those people who don't know what featured post means?
Yeah. So if you open your LinkedIn page, I mean, on your particular page, just below your profile, there is something called as featured posts, where you can actually choose to highlight 4 to 5 things that you want to highlight about your current profile, about something that you may have just got a degree in something, or an article that's published, or, you know, like a platform that you spoke in. So yeah, just below, I'm just trying to, yeah, let's see if I can share the screen. But yeah, it's just below your profile page. I think a lot of people don't really use that a lot, I feel. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Charity, can you close us out?
Awesome. So thank you. So thank you to Dee, China, and Priya for really having the courage to come forth and share your expertise. Sometimes we forget that each and every one of us has something to contribute to every conversation, whether it's the form of a question, a comment, our experience, etc. So thank you. Thank you to every one of you who participated, and whether that participation was a question or listening or being here or all of the above. So thank you.